Okay, welcome everyone. If you don't mind, you can say hello. You can say where you're from, so I know you are there. It's always nice to talk to an audience. Okay, so we're now streaming on YouTube as well. Anyone who's on YouTube, feel free to follow my channel. And if you like this live stream, please give it a thumbs up. This will help me grow my channel. Thank you. Okay, great. If I just wanted to explain how the Q&A works. Actually, Q&A, the batch cooking, this presentation works. If you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A on the bottom of the screen on a computer. You see Q&A and you see chat, I believe. If you have a question, just put your questions into the Q&A. If you have any, just a comment, you put it in the chat, okay? Just like, hey, hello, and if you talk to your fellow challengers, you can talk in the chat. And if you have a question, please put them in the Q&A on the bottom here. I'm not sure where this is on the cell phone, but on the computer, it's on the bottom hand side. I think it's the same on a cell phone. Okay. If anyone has any issues with logging in to the library, meaning my website, getting to the challenge module or to the meal plans, please let me know in the Q&A here in the, as a question, and I will answer this as soon as I have time. Okay. So today we're going to cook a winter squash stew. It's a really, really simple but delightful meal. It may take some time until you get it right. You may get it right from the first time, but my experience has shown when you cook it the first time, you either have cooked it too long or too short, and because you want to get in the flavor of the spices. So I see people are still coming in. Okay, hello everyone. Are you ready for the challenge? Give me a yes. If you're not, let me know why. Okay, that's fine. Sherry, if you're on your cell phone, that's fine. That's okay. Excellent. I see only yeses. Excellent, excellent. Very good. Okay, cool. Lots of familiar names here. Excellent. Very good. Okay. Before I start, Monday is weigh-in day. So weigh in before breakfast, obviously, before you even drink water or have your lemon water, weigh in, meaning get on a scale, take a picture of your scale, or just write or post your weight into the Facebook group. You can also use our weigh-in sheet, which has been sent to you by email. You can download it, print it out, and use this because you have your beginning weight and you have your end weight. So from that point of view, you have it on paper. You know that you have lost weight over the last 4 weeks. So it's something for you to keep too. It's also, I see a lot of people who are intimidated to leave their weight, and I understand that. If you want to send your weight to me by email so that it is confidential, but you still be in the competition, so to speak, because at the end of the 4 weeks, we will have a little ceremony where we will crown the winner, so to speak. We have 3 winners. One winner is the who has the most health benefits, one who is the most active in the Facebook group, and one who has lost the most weight. Okay, so it's going to be fun. I can tell you this. So I hope you are all in this. It is a lot of fun. It may be a challenge to you to go through over 4 weeks, but you will be richly rewarded by, how you feel and how much weight you have lost. Okay. Good. So Monday weigh-in day. You want to start your day off with your lemon water. Very important. The very first thing when you get up in the morning, have a glass of water, then have your lemon juice as shown in the recipe or in the module. And then you can have either breakfast, or if it's a intermittent day, you wait until 11 o'clock. Okay. Let me ask you one more thing. Do you hear me okay? Is the sound okay? If you could give me just a yes. Yes, excellent. Very good. No, that's the thing. Good question, Anjana. Previous winner have to wait 6 months until they until they can win again. Okay. It's good that you mentioned this, Anjana. We had quite a lot of winners in the last, in the last 18 months, obviously quite a lot. And I want to give everyone a fair chance. Okay. Because they are, I gotta be honest with you, there are some people here who don't do the entire month anything. And when they hear challenge is coming, they get all their resources together, they put all their strengths together, and they lose all the weight that they have gained over the last 4 weeks or 8 weeks. And they are the winners. And that's not fair. So we want to make sure that the challenge is a fair landscape. Okay, so I'm going to start cooking, and then we'll continue with the recipes, and I answer any of your questions. Okay. As you know, this is the challenge is oil-free cooking. So we cook, or let's say we follow the sopa-free lifestyle, which is no sugar, no oil, no alcohol, no processed foods, and no animal foods. So we try to go this over the next 4 weeks. I'm going to show you how to cook without oil. It's very, very simple. Oil has 125 calories per tablespoon. When we cook, we usually cook with 2, 3, even 4 tablespoons of oil. So that means we're saving 400 or 500 calories per dish. Yes, there's also another Sherry's asking, is there another name for the winter squash? Yes, you can call it zucchini stew. Absolutely. Yeah, I call it winter squash because in some areas you cannot get zucchinis, but you can get winter squash, you can get butternut squash, you can get all kinds of squashes out there. They are thriving throughout the winter. Okay. Good question. Okay, so let me get started. Just thinking if there's anything else. I will answer all the other questions after the meal is done, okay? Good, let's get started. I'm gonna change my camera here. Here we go. Okay. So I'm going to heat up the pan to medium to high. Obviously, this always works better on a gas stove, but I don't have a gas stove here. So we're going to, the first thing is we're always going to saute onions and garlic first. Onion and garlic. Okay, and we're going to saute it until we need to add a little bit of water to it. The good thing is here in New York, we can use our tap water. In Florida, I don't know. And there's other states where the tap water is not that great. So, but here we are fortunate to use the tap water. Okay, so we're going to saute the onions until they're starting to caramelize. We want to make sure that they don't get burned. Okay, fortunately, onions have so-called onion oil, so to speak, which prevents the onion from burning right away. Okay, how is the sound now? Can you hear me okay? Because I'm using a different microphone now. Let me know if it's okay or if you need me to change it. Okay, so you can tell that the onions are starting to stick to the pan, you see? Now it's the time to add a little bit of water. Just a little bit. Just to loosen the brown residue on the pan. That's it. We're going to stir, we're going to continue to move the onions in the pan so we cook them on all sides evenly. Okay. You see here, the onion started to caramelize. For this dish, it's perfectly fine if the onions are caramelizing. If you cook a dish, for instance, a white stew, a white soup, you don't want the onions to caramelize, okay? That's very, very important. So let's say you cook a potato soup, you don't want the onions to get brown. Anything what's white, like a white soup, you want the onions to stay translucent, but not caramelized. But for this dish, it's perfectly fine. And you can tell I only add a little bit of water at a time. If you add too much water, then your vegetable is going to steam, and you don't want that. Okay. I'm trying to adjust the volume, but I don't think I can make it higher from my side. Okay, now we're going to add the zucchinis. And again, we stir the vegetables as often as we can. And add a little bit of water. I could have used a bigger pan. But I like this pan because I can move my vegetables this way. Okay, now we're going to add our tomatoes. And I'm going to add all my spices. Tablespoon of cumin, tablespoon of chili powder. I mix it up already in here. Oregano. And towards the end, we're going to add our parsley. So now I would like to expose my spices to the heat. By exposing them to the heat, I open up the spices. This makes a major difference as if you would put your spices in a sauce, so to speak. You can definitely use a bigger pan, so you don't have to move your vegetables around like this. And I can smell the cumin and the chili powder opening up. We're going to add a little bit of water again. Okay. So now it's a time, if you would like to add a little bit of salt, you can do that. Obviously, salt is always optional. I'm using Himalayan pink salt. It's not as salty as the other salt. Okay. So now it's time to add the beans. And you can make this dish with butternut squash or any other squash. Keep in mind that butternut squash and pumpkin and all the other acorn squash and other squash takes a little bit longer to cook than zucchini. Zucchini takes only a few minutes to cook. So keep this in mind. Keep the cubes a little smaller, or you can finish it longer on the stove. So now we can add a little bit of water. a bit more so that our zucchinis can cook. And you want to have a little bit of sauce. Remember, when you're probably asking yourself, why is he using water? The reason why I use water is I want to extract the flavors out of my vegetables into the sauce. I don't want to add broth into my food. It tastes good, absolutely. But I want my dish to taste originally. So right now I have a zucchini tomato stew. I want these flavors to be dominant. So that's why I add water, and my stew is going to taste exactly like that. If you add broth to it, you make it easier. The dish tastes good. Even if you use low sodium, you will still have a slight amount of salt in there. But by using water, I have to take my all my skills, so to speak, to make this dish taste good. So now we're going to turn down the heat to medium. A little bit more. And the water's going to reduce. And once the water is reduced to almost one quarter, that's when this should be ready. And that's basically it. Okay. Jack is asking what else can be used for zucchini. Again, as I mentioned before, you can use any kind of squash you have. But if you don't have squash, you can use carrots. Use carrots and potatoes. Potatoes, it's probably not going to work. Yes, too starchy. But carrots would work. Mushrooms would work. Eggplant would work. What else do you have? Any kind of root vegetables would work too. Okay. You can, if you want, you can add a lid on it. Turn down the heat a little bit and keep the lid for maybe 3-4 minutes. That should be more than enough. Yes, absolutely. You can use turnips. Perfect. Turnips are perfect for that. You can even use beets. Beets would work absolutely perfect for that. So you can see that I have another pot here. Obviously before I started this year, I cooked a soup, which is a Roux vegetable soup, which is not on a meal plan. But the reason why I talk about this is my son got COVID, so I have to cook him something, like a soup, what makes him feel good, because it just works best when you have a cold. And so I made this very, very simple. The recipe is also in the library, but I used sweet potatoes. I used actually Japanese jam. I used plantain, carrots, black beans, mushrooms, celery, carrots, of course, leek. What else? They use garbanzo beans. Yeah, so that's basically what I put in here, and it almost tastes sweet. It tastes really, really homey, so to speak. I want to put this soup on next week, but I didn't cook the soup what is for this week on the menu simply because my son was sick. So I will talk about batch cooking in a minute and how to do this. See, with an electric stove, the heat is always high and it doesn't go down until a few minutes. With a gas stove, the heat is gone. That works much better. The name of the soup is, I believe, Roux vegetable soup. Jackie, Roux vegetable. Substitute for parsley, you can use cilantro if you wanted to. That's fine. That's actually pretty good. You can use thyme. Okay, almost there. So I don't want to keep the cover too long on it because I want some of the steam, the water to evaporate. So I want my sauce to reduce a little bit. And also the beans will help making the sauce a little bit thicker. Black beans give off good amount of starch. Since the zucchini don't have starch, this is a good way to make the sauce thicker. So we just want to steam it on low temperature, reduce the sauce until it gets a little thicker. That will also cook the zucchini. We're almost there. Okay, I'm going to switch my camera. Yeah, that's a good question. Let me just switch. Okay, so that's a good question, Sharon, about the tomatoes. You don't have to cut them in half. You don't. You can eat them whole, and they, in the end, they literally pop open and give their flavors to the sauce that way. If they don't pop open, they don't contribute to the sauce. So just keep this in mind. If the tomatoes stay whole, they are not contributing flavor. Yes, Jackie, that's a good point. Absolutely. The soups are, most soups are used for dinner, and the stews are used for lunch. You could use a stew for dinner if you don't add too many starches. You know, for lunch, I want you to add a good amount of sweet potatoes, purple potatoes, brown rice, whatever you like to add to this stew. Okay, but when it comes to dinner, you can have it for dinner, but without too much starches. Okay. Okay, so let's talk about batch cooking. Batch cooking is basically, that's what that's what I used to do in the restaurant. We used to cook, I don't know, 20 or 30 meals for the evening shift. And so it wasn't very often we had like 15, 20 pots on the stove to the same time before even the service starts. That's before people come in for dinner. So we have to get everything ready. And I show you the same system to cook the same way we cook in a restaurant. It's really simple. You cook or you start with the dish that takes the longest. So look at the recipe and see what the total time is for the recipe. The better you are in prepping, the faster you are. If you can prep if you can cut fast and prep all your ingredients, you will have this meal ready in half the time, so to speak. So you choose the first dish with the longest time. Then you take the second one and start that one. So basically, you start with the one that takes the longest. Once you have this up and going and it's on the stove, just like this one here, for instance, now you start the second one. This is a very fast meal, by the way. So I would have started the quinoa first. If you want to do both meals, start with the quinoa first, have the lentils cooking, have the quinoa cooking on the stove, and then put them on the back burner, and then you start with your zucchini stew, okay? While the quinoa veggie bowl is on the back stove, you cook the zucchini stew, and then now's the time to cook the white bean cauliflower soup. Okay, that's how you do the batch cooking. You start with the dish that takes the longest, then you take the next one and the next one. So you want to have one dish on the stove simmering, so you don't have to look after it every 2 seconds. Then you start your second one, start to cook this, let it simmer, and then you do the next one. Okay. So basically, even simpler would be if you let your lentils cook, your quinoa, and your zucchini. You could literally have three. I don't want you to have 3 pots on the stove. You can, but I want you to go by what takes the longest. Start it, put it on the back stove, and start your next one. So basically, when the last dish is ready, all the meals are ready. This is the whole key. The only problem is, and I know that I know this from my wife, that using so many pans is not everyone's favorite. I do this because I did this all my life. This is how I was trained. This is how every cook is being trained. We don't look, okay, can I use this pan, or do I have to reuse it, or the dishwasher gets too many pans. No, we use an unlimited amount of pans. You may not have the luxury, but what I want you to understand is if you use 3 pots and they're all cooking at different times, they will all be ready at the same time. So you could be finishing 3 meals in an hour and a half, so to speak. If you would cook them alone, then you would cook 1 meal. After it is completely ready, then you do your next one. That will take you 3 hours, and I want to avoid this. So I want you to avoid. I would like you to cook in stages. Okay. Okay. Sherry's asking, nutritional yeast is not in this recipe. You can use it. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. What is the difference between? 1 second. What's the difference between stews and soups? They look the same. The stew has a lot less liquid in there, a lot less. The soup has much more liquid. But you're right, they're similar. They're very similar. You see, I'm going to show you. Let me switch my camera quickly, and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, this is your perfect stew. This is ready now. Okay, you see the liquid in here? It's not a soup, it's a stew. I don't know if you can tell, but there's some liquid in here, but it's not a soup. Okay, so when you put this on your plate, you have just enough liquid in here to go with your rice or with your potatoes. Okay, so that's your perfect stew. You want to have a little bit of liquid in here. The liquid should taste exactly like the vegetables we have cooked. You see the color? Isn't that beautiful? Okay. I got a little bit of kick in here because of the chili. I think it's just right. It's just perfect. Just remember when you cook this dish that you expose the spices to the heat. So you could actually even add the spices a little bit earlier than I did today. Okay, but that's fine. So you see the difference between a soup and a stew. A soup has a lot more liquid in it. A soup can be also thick, and a stew can be thick. Absolutely. It's just that a soup, you will not add any more starches or anything else to it. Soup is a soup and it's ready. The stew here, you add a side dish to it, like green leafy vegetables, like potatoes, rice, something like this. It makes a big whole meal. Okay. Um, let's see if you have any questions. Oregano is an ingredient list, but missing in step 3. No, that it's in the. I thought I put it in as. Let's see. I put it in adds all other ingredients. But there was Jackie. That was a great question about the stews in the lunch. Very good. Yes, please color code them. Perfect idea. Excellent. And just checking the comments. We have a lot of comments in here. Yeah, the parsley is going in now. Good question. Yeah. I can see that you looking at the recipes. So the reason why I put the parsley towards the end, I don't want the parsley to cook in the soup. I want all the vitamins to be remain in the parsley, and they have a pungent flavor. So the earlier I put the herbs in, the more they give towards the sauce. But if I put them towards the end, they have this pungent flavor adding to the overall dish. Okay. Okay, let's see if we have any other questions. Did anyone have any question about the batch cooking? So I think it's fairly simple. You start with a dish what takes the longest, put it on the stove, let it cook, or get the cooking process started, and then you start your next dish. Yeah, I'll go back to the recipes. Okay, so in the night we have, in the morning, Monday morning, we're going to start with a smoothie or sauteed vegetables. When I talk about sauteed vegetables, it's very similar to this here, very similar. I usually use onions, garlic, mushrooms, mainly soft vegetables, spinach, and maybe you could use zucchini, but I usually use only 4 or 5 vegetables in my morning stew. And of course, don't forget to add beans to your morning stew because you need the protein, very important. The reason why I give you 2 different options, some people don't like a cold breakfast, some people don't like a warm breakfast. That's why I give you 2 options. Should you be hungry after breakfast or before lunch, have an apple or an orange or some kind of fruit if you like. I recommend if you're not hungry, don't eat anything. In the next 4 weeks, you will realize that you may be not hungry at all. You may be eating breakfast, and then you realize that you're not hungry for the next 4, 5, 6 hours. That's perfectly fine. Don't force yourself to eat. Just wait until you get hungry. Once you get hungry, you will enjoy the food so much more. Sometimes you're not able to eat 3 meals. Sometimes you're only able to eat 2 meals because you're not hungry. That's perfectly fine. If you haven't been eating a lot of fibers, that's what usually happens. Your body is adjusting to all those fibers. It takes your body sometimes weeks to get used to all this. Once you get used to this, everything is going to start to be normal again, and you can eat 3 meals again. But don't force yourself to eat more than you need to. Just because I have 3 meals in here doesn't mean you have to eat 3 meals. If you think you're not hungry, put the food in the freezer so it doesn't spoil. Okay? Very important, you want to drink enough water. Make sure you drink at least 8 glasses of water per day. Don't wait until you get dehydrated. And for dinner, you have a salad, a side salad. I leave it up to you what you put in your salad. You want to have some greens in there, some tomatoes, cucumbers, maybe red onions. You can top your salad with anything you like, what makes sense to you. Of course, no animal products. And then you have, after the salad, you have a bowl of soup. Okay. If you're still hungry after one bowl, have a second one, but don't overindulge. Don't eat until you're completely stuffed. We don't want that. And then, if possible, eat 2-3 hours before you go to bed, if you can. I know it's not always possible, but give it a try. Wednesday, we have our intermittent day. That's when we start at 11 a.m. and we finish at 7 p.m. So that gives your body a good 16 hours to recuperate. When we do intermittent fasting, that gives our body time to regenerate, so to speak. Our body has the brilliant ability when we don't eat. That's when your body is repairing itself. Because just imagine when you eat, your body is busy with digesting your food. Once we don't digest, once our body is empty, so to speak, that's when our body starts to regenerate, even during the day. If let's say you don't eat between 9 and 6 in the evening, that's when your body is trying to prepare itself. But you need to drink enough water, for this to happen. Okay. You see, I think we have some questions here. Did you use a can of black beans? Yes, I used a whole can of black beans for this meal. Yeah. Just rinse it and strain it and rinse it. This is the same challenge as the New Year's challenge. This is a New Year's challenge, but it's different from last year's New Year's challenge. Very different. Can you use regular mushrooms for shiitakes? Yes, you can. I'm addicted to oatmeal for breakfast with berries. That's fine. Continue to eat that. You will not lose as much weight, though. So that's the only drawback. Can you cook with red onions? Yes, absolutely. Red onions are perfect. I realized your oregano was fresh. Yes, correct. If you only have dried, that's fine. Use about 1/3 of it. But the recipe calls for dried oregano. Okay, the recipe calls for dry oregano, but I use fresh. Of course, I got it. I was able to get a bunch. Okay. Let's see, another question here. Just found you. Wasn't aware of any of the change. Is there a way to watch this in full later? Yes, absolutely, Pamela. It's on YouTube. It's being recorded as we speak right now. So you can just go to my YouTube channel and watch it there later. Okay, good. Anyone on YouTube, please, I mentioned this before, if you like this live stream, please give it a thumbs up and follow my channel. I would really appreciate it. Thank you. Okay. Good. Does anyone else has any more questions? So basically, the way the meal plans are organized is that you have on Monday, you have the same dish as you have Wednesday. I did this because to give you a little bit of flexibility and to give you a little bit more flavor in your meal plans. So you could eat the zucchini stew for the next 2-3 days, and then you could eat the quinoa veggie bowl for the next 3 days. That's fine with me. The only thing I'm asking is don't change your breakfast or don't change your dinner. You need those nutrients from those fresh veggies in the morning, and you need those nutrients in the dinner time. Okay, but you could eat the same meal. You could even eat the cauliflower soup for the next 3 days. You could eat the stew for the next 3 days. And you can have the smoothie for the next 3 days. As long as you have 3 different meals every day or 2 different meals, it's very important so that you get your nutrients in. Okay. One more thing. Some of you might ask, okay, do I get enough protein? If you like, you can go on a chronometer and put exactly what you have been eating for the day into chronometer, and it tells you exactly if you had enough macro micronutrients. To get to macro micronutrients, you go to the USDA site, go to the nutritional calculator, and put your height, the weight, your age, and it tells you how much protein you need per day. Keep in mind that the USDA site still goes by the American diet. This is not for someone who eats plant-based. And according to Dr. Campbell, he said it is not 100% written in stone that we truly need the amount of protein that is actually recommended. So that's, I can tell you this. The only fact is if you eat enough calories, you will get enough protein. That's also according to Dr. Campbell. He wrote the China study. I got certified by his program. So that's very important to keep this in mind. If you eat enough calories, you get enough protein. Okay. And if you still in doubt, use chronometer and check your micronutrients this way. Okay, let's see, we have a few more comments here. When can we pick up the soup for takeout? Love it. Can we pick up the soup for takeout? So name of the pan I use. I use all-clad. All-clad. Now if you can read it. All-clad. It's ALL-CLAD. But don't worry, you don't have to use those pans. You can use any pan you want. I'm not a fan of Teflon pans because once they scratch, those heavy metals leach into your food. And aluminum is also not very healthy either. If you cook non-aggressive foods, like if you cook tomatoes in a aluminum pan, those heavy metals leach into the food. So I would recommend using stainless steel. You can use Le Creuset. There's so many other different pans now out in the market. Ceramic pans and not ceramic. What's the other name called? Titanium. I used another pan, which is I'm using a scan pan, which is a really cool pan. This material, it looks like Teflon, but it's not. It's a titanium steel. It's made in Scandinavia. The material is through and through the same. You can use metal utensils with this pan, and there are no heavy metals in there. So this is pretty cool. Okay, let's see. Also, I covered a cast iron. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Porcelain is fine. Thank you, Rosamund. Excellent. Thanks, Jackie. Wonderful. Okay. Wonderful. Okay, great. Okay, so I don't have much to add to this. If you have any questions, let me know. You know where to reach me. Remember, tomorrow is weigh-in day. Let's kick it off with a strong start. It's always good. Remember, when you eat your breakfast, lunch, and dinner, take a quick picture and post it on your Facebook group. It motivates everyone else, and it gets the group going, and it's a lot of fun. Okay, let me just answer this question here. Yes, scan pen. Let me put it here. Scan pen. It's in my when you open up my module, all the pens are in there. Okay. in the preparation, I believe, in the preparation. Let me see. I can just open it up here. There should be all in there. Preparation. Yes. Let me share my screen quickly. I can show you this. So this is one in the challenge module, as you can see. It is under preparation, and this is the scan pan. It's a Strategium monster. Okay, that's the one. You can go through it and see if you like it. There's also a link here. You can click on it. It brings you right to Amazon, and they're all linked to it. Okay. There may be I'm participating in the Amazon program. So if you buy something, a very, very tiny small commission goes to me. That's helps me fund this. Fund the business. But it's free to you. Okay, so that's basically it. Let me. Excellent, great. Yeah, I'm really looking forward for tomorrow. Hope to see you all tomorrow posting. And we have, look in our calendar. We have lots of Q&As and accountability sessions tomorrow and Tuesday, tomorrow and Wednesday, I believe. If you have any questions, email me. Any of my emails, you can reply, and I'll get back to you. Okay. So happy challenge, everyone. Great success. Be safe and think plant-based.